Released in Europe and the US in 2011, Pokémon Black and White are games created by Game Freak and published by Nintendo for the Nintendo DS. These are action RPGs and are the first games released in the 5th generation of Pokémon. In fact, these are my first Pokémon games, so I have a strong attachment to these, so I sure hope I do them justice in this review. I'll try my best not to be nostalgia blind, so with that being said, let's get right into the review. In the Unova region, you start off in Nuvema Town, and are sent a gift by the first female professor, that being Professor Juniper. This gift contains 3 Pokémon, the grass type Snivy, the fire type Tepig, and the water type Oshawott. You share this gift with your 2 rivals, Cheren and Bianca. In my playthrough, I chose Oshawott, and as soon as you've made your decision, you're swiftly on your way. And in true Pokémon tradition, your goal is to travel the land, collect badges, and defeat the evil team of the region. The Unova region are quite interesting, as they are the first region in the main series not to be based on a place in Japan. Pokémon Black and White are based on New York, that being in America, so that's quite interesting. Pokémon Black and White are also reboots of the entire series, and have quite an interesting gimmick. During the main story, you are limited to only using Pokémon introduced in Generation 5. That means no Pikachu, Pidgey or Magikarp, and instead, you have Emolga, Pidove and Basculin. I remember the marketing back in the day saying that Unova was very far away from any of the past regions, so this really drives home the fact that it's a reboot of the franchise. Luckily, once you beat the game, you gain access to an area where you can transfer all your old Pokémon from any other DS game, such as Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold or Soul Silver. So they're not lost completely and they're still in the game, which is really neat. One thing I really love about Pokémon Black and White is Team Plasma, and honestly, if you don't want to get spoiled, skip to the time on screen to avoid spoilers, as this story is best experienced first time around. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Alright, so Team Plasma on the surface are a gang of villains, who not only dress up as Knights of the Round Table, but they also want to liberate Pokémon from trainers. This is because they think that trainers using Pokémon is immoral, and want the Pokémon to be free from the harshness of battle. You also meet a trainer named N, a man that acts a tad bit strange, who challenges you from time to time during your journey, until about midway through the game, and then he's revealed as the king of Team Plasma, and will use the legendary Pokémon of the region, Zekrom or Reshiram, depending on the version, to take over the region, and force trainers to release their Pokémon everywhere. This is until the man who took him in when he was an orphan betrays him and reveals his true malicious intention to the player. For Pokémon, this story is really thought-provoking, as it makes you question your moral. Are Pokémon truly happy with trainers? I think this is the best story in any Pokémon game released thus far, and that's why I don't want to spoil it for you guys. Well, I mean, unless you played the game and you already know, or you know you just don't care. These games have a colourful cast of characters, including some of my favourite rivals in the entire series, that being Cheren and Bianca. Now Cheren is a boy who has big dreams, until those goals are challenged by a man he looks up to, the champion. Meanwhile, Bianca is a girl who can't decide what she wants to do in life, and almost gives up and goes home with her father until the sexy electric gym leader Elisa convinces her to keep travelling and teaches her father to let her go and to trust her. Personally, I can relate to both Cheren and Bianca's struggles, and this is why I really like both of these characters. Plus both of them have really cool and cute designs, so I really like Cheren and Bianca. Contrary to, what most fans would think. We also have the aforementioned N and his quote-unquote father, Getsis, who I've already spoke about, and every gym leader. These gym leaders all have lives outside of their roles as gym leaders, such as Chili, Silent and Cress all running a restaurant. Lenora is a lady who works at a museum and also studies Pokémon in her library. Berg is an artist who travels to get inspiration for his paintings. Elisa is a model, who shows this more off in the sequel games, but she still shows it off a little bit in these games. And of course, she helps Bianca in her story arc. Clay is a miner with a temper, and he also goes around trying to stop Team Plasma when they enter in his city. Skylar is a lady who pilots her planes and her Pokémon, and goes out to scout injured Pokémon in towers. Bryson is a wannabe actor who uses ice types because of his cold exterior, as well as Drayden and Iris. These are version exclusive gym leaders who take a mentor and trainee role. I love that they try to make the gym leaders have more personality and give you more attachment to them, compared to gym leaders of the past games, so the Unova ones are some of my favourites. Of course, games with big cast of characters often get characters who get little screen time, and thus little development outside of a few moments you see with them. For example, there's an opposite gendered character to the player who you meet outside the gear station like once and that's it. Team Plasma's Shadow Triad are also pretty basic. They're just these 3 guys who disappear from in front of you. They're like ninjas and I can't remember a single thing about them. We also have all the 7 sages. Now again, these are work with Team Plasma and I cannot remember a single name of one of them. They were only there to be battled by the gym leaders at the end of the game. I think a few of these characters get more fleshed out in the sequel games, but it's such a missed opportunity. These characters could have been so cool and they're just kind of discarded, while N, Cher and Bianca and all the others take front seat. As previously mentioned, you can only use the newly introduced Pokémon in these games. That is good, as it forces older players to get to play with the new Pokémon, instead of relying on old favourites. This is also the generation which introduced the most Pokémon in the entire franchise thus far. We have yet to see how many Pokémon will be in Generation 8, but by the looks of things, and especially the ones in the recent games, we'll be lucky if we get 80 in Sword and Shield, while Black and White gave us a whopping 156 new Pokémon to play with. Whilst not all of these Pokémon designs are home runs, I think so many of them are super creative. There are so many I just love and adore. We have Emolga, Duwop, Galvantula, Lillipup, Reunitelus, Sigilith, Krokorok, Pansage, Palpitoad, Vanillite, Tranquil, and of course, Victini. However, we also have Foongus, and Caracosta, and Lipard. But these are just a small minority of a few designs, and you know, they have their fans. A lot of people really do like these Pokemon, and I can see why. They're just not for me. While a lot of nifty Pokemon were added this gen, the same can't be said for most of the new mechanics. Game Freak realised most of these things aren't really things they want to work with anymore, and have discarded them since. But I think they're okay in Black and White, but some of them were a bit lame. We have the total snorefest that is Pokemon musicals. They're basically the contests from Diamond and Pearl, but not really. You don't get ribbons, they're just glorified dress-up minigames. You don't even get rewards for doing so. These games also introduce triple battles and rotation battles, which have been forgotten and discarded since Generation 6. They're quite boring and a bit confusing, if anything, and most people were not fans of them. There were a few interesting things, like the Entralink, but if you got no buddies or only one copy of the game, sorry, you're out of luck, pal, can't use that. My favourite new mechanic though was seasons. Basically every month the season changes, like in December it'll be winter, but since it changes every month, and I've been playing in the middle of the summer in real time, the game thought it was winter. Of course that means I can get through Chocolate Mountain, Twist Mountain, as it's so easy when there's a pile of snow blocking most of the puzzles. So it's a neat mechanic, and the trees change colour every month. And I think a few Pokemon drop rates are a bit different depending on the season. And of course Dealing and Swordsbuck look different per season. But it's not an amazing mechanic, and they did drop it in every other game since. But with all these changes, there's one thing that has stayed exactly the same in every game since, and that is the core gameplay. It's still turn-based combat with Pokemon we've come to know and love and expect from Pokemon and Nintendo, but now all the Pokemon are in 2D sprites, fully animated, and that is so cool. They look so full of life, even if it's just like, I don't know, a 10-second animation loop. It looks so cool, and you can clearly tell what the Pokemon's all about just by its little idle animation in battle. And I love this. And they're full body too, so it's not just half like every other game beforehand. No, you can see the entire back of your Pokemon. I love this, this is so awesome! Pokemon Black and White have a really neat soundtrack. I do prefer Black and White over most other Pokemon game soundtracks. Again, this might be the nostalgia talking, but there's so much emotion conveyed through these songs and I love it. The music at the end of the game gave me chills when N was talking to you. That is so cool. It's the first time that I've ever been truly moved by game music. I'll keep it brief, but here's just a few I love listening to. Being released in 2011, these are some of the last DS games ever released, and this clearly shows. Not that it's a bad thing, in fact, these games have so much content crammed into them, and are huge leaps and bounds over Diamond and Pearl. They no longer have those stupid slow movements, and saving doesn't last an eternity. The bottom screen is now where the menus are, and personally, this is a much better usage than what happened in Gen 4. Whilst the Poketch was handy, we now also have Sea Gear. In the Unova region, it is so easy to access wireless communications with people, as in, you could be in the middle of a cave and trade. That's right, you don't need to go to a Pokemon Center now to connect with your buddies. And that's so cool to me. I really enjoy this feature, and it only gets improved on in later games. A feature now lost is the Dream Radar. Now I never used this, as when I got Black and White and it was still relevant, I didn't have internet in my house, but apparently, you could store a Pokemon from Black and White onto this website and get exclusive items and rare Pokemon to send back to the DS. These rare Pokemon have new abilities never before seen on these Pokemon, and are usually much better than the ones they came with. These are called hidden abilities, or at the time, Dreamworld abilities, and it's so cool, it can bring new life into old Pokemon, and all the new Pokemon had hidden abilities too, or at least most Pokemon had hidden abilities, making you have two ways to play with your Pokemon. Again, a really cool feature, but it's a lot harder nowadays to get your hands on a hidden ability Pokemon, especially if you don't have Black and White too. Whilst at release, it was looked upon as a black sheep, nowadays these games are held up in high regard and are some of the best coming from the Pokemon franchise. And as we move on to the 3DS for my next Pokemon review, let's give one final hurrah to the classic Pokemon games before we step into the modern era, that being the 3DS. As per usual, I'd like to give a big shout out to MarioFan98 for giving me all the footage I've used in this video. Couldn't make them without you, dude. Anyway, like always guys, be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Also, comment down below what games you'd like to see me review, and I'll see if I can get back to you. Also, give me some cartoons to review too, because I've been wanting to find some feedback from you guys on my channel to see what kind of videos you like me to make. I've been making a few more cartoon videos as of late, and they've been quite fun to make. But I also want to know what you guys think, as I want to make content you enjoy as well as I enjoy making, as it benefits both the creator and the viewer. But anyway guys, with that being said, I shall catch you in the next one.